astrology predictions for the year 2022 for all the 12 ascendants. Hello everybody, I'm Tina Chaudhary. Welcome to my channel and a very warm namaste. So let's take a look at what are the planetary events that are going to happen in 2022 and give us some impact or the major impact. So the 2022 is promising to be a very exciting year for all of us, especially astrologers, because two of the major impactful planets, which is Jupiter and Saturn, both have very important transits in 2022. Now, both of these planets are the ones that gave us the major events in our life. Now, the other planets that are also going to have transits are the nodes. So Rahu, Ketu, which is not planets, but they're virtual planets, which is the nodes, North Node and South Node, are also going to have transits in this year. So let's talk about what happens first. So on April 12th, the nodes, which is Rahu and Ketu, North Node and South Node, are going to transit first. So the nodes always move in a retrograde or in a backward motion. So right now Rahu is in Taurus and Ketu is in Scorpio. So they're going to move one step back. So Rahu moves into Aries and Scorpio will move into Libra. So obviously these two signs, if you are one of these signs, which is Aries and Libra, these nodes are now going to move into your sign. We'll talk about the impact of these signs a little bit in my prediction now for the year, but when the transits start to occur or closer to the transit, I'll make a video and of course talk a little bit more about that. So these are one of the major transits. The next thing that's going to happen immediately the next day after, on April 13th, is that Jupiter is going to transit. It's right now it transited into Aquarius on sometime in November, and then on April 13th, Jupiter transits into its next sign, which is Pisces. Now Pisces is owned by Jupiter, so Jupiter moves into its own house. So now that's a very, very positive transit, and the reason being that, you know, like I said, Pisces is owned by Jupiter. So when Pisces goes home, it's considered Pisces moves into Pisces. Jupiter moves into Pisces, it's considered as if it's going home. So, you know, it feels very good. So when a planet feels good or it goes into its own sign, it gives its most benefic results because it's a happy planet. Now, Jupiter is one of the most benefic planets. So when it becomes happy, goes into its own sign, we can only expect good things from Jupiter. You know, Jupiter's had a very short stay in Aquarius. It's moving so fast. It's almost like it's rushing to go home. The next thing that's going to happen on April 28th is that Saturn, who's been hanging out in Capricorn, owned by, you know, Capricorn is its own sign. And then Saturn goes into Aquarius, which is also owned by Saturn, goes into Aquarius for a little bit. It peaks into Aquarius almost. It like goes a little bit into Aquarius and then stays in there. It only stays in there till about June 4th, and then it starts its retrograde motion and then starts going back towards Capricorn again. And so on July 12th, it's back into a Capricorn. But the good thing is that Saturn likes being in Aquarius way better than it likes being in Capricorn. Why? Because Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac, and the 11th sign of the zodiac represents our wish fulfillment, desires, gains, networking, friends. So Aquarius gives us better things in Aquarius than it does in Capricorn. So a couple of factors we need to keep in mind is that when Saturn does a backward forward motion from Capricorn to Aquarius, that if the Sarisati, which I'll talk about in a minute, that for people that have the moon placement in Pisces, they're going to have a quick Sarisati and then back not having the Sarisati. So they may feel the effect of a Sarisati for the April to July period, and then the Sarisati comes off. So I'll talk about that. What is that in a minute? And then the other thing is that people that are having the dasha, antardasha of, or anything to do with Ketu during this time, after July, when Ketu is in Libra and Saturn has moved back to Capricorn, Saturn will have the 10th vision of Ketu. So it's going to be staring at Ketu the whole time. So you need to keep that in mind. Now, Ketu is a little bit of a challenged planet. You know, it's headless. So it also is a very separative planet. So sometimes it gives challenging results in the house that it's sitting in. And now with the 10th aspect of Saturn, we could have some challenging results. So take a look at where Ketu is placed in your chart and also where Saturn is placed, so you know that if you're under the effect of Ketu or Saturn, there's going to be a mixed result between Saturn and Ketu. So those are the two challenging things that are going to happen. Now, I need to talk about what is a Sarisati. So Sarisati is when, depending upon the placement of your moon in your chart, so when Saturn comes the house before or over your moon, or the house after your moon, where your moon is placed. Those are the 7.5 years. So Saturn is in a house for 2.5 years. So that would mean 2.5 years before where the moon is placed, 2.5 years over where the moon is placed, and then 2.5 years after the house after where the moon is placed. Our total 7.5 years. And so that's in Vedic astrology is called the Sarde Sati. Sarde means half and Sati means 7. So it's a 7.5 year cycle or phase that a person goes through. Now I'm going to move on to my predictions. The predictions are based on your ascendant, which is the first house, or the sign in your first house. Also, the actual results that a person gets are always based on their own birth chart. Before I move on, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. I'm getting so many viewers, but people are forgetting to subscribe. And this video is worth sharing with friends and family so they know what to expect. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the year starts with Jupiter being in your third house. And the third house is hard work, dedication, and self-effort. So Jupiter's probably made you do all of that, where it's making you work hard and it's making you put a lot of effort in. And then it moves into the fourth house in April. Now the fourth house for Jupiter is a good placement, because what it does is it gives you a lot of mental peace and mental happiness. That's what the fourth house represents. It also represents domestic bliss. So you're probably going to feel a lot of relief at home, find a better, be a little more relieved and less stress, and finally have a sense of happiness at home. Now, when it moves into the fourth house, it's also going to look at your house of career, which is the 10th house. So finally, after all, putting all that effort in, you're going to maybe see the results in your career. So people that were looking for a job before, or maybe they were expecting something good to happen in their career, can expect that to happen after April, because Jupiter looks at your house of career and kind of blesses it and gives you things that you were probably waiting for a long time after April. Jupiter also at that time looks at the first house, which is your house of the ascendant house. And so for you, Jupiter is your ascendant lord. And so the ascendant lord looking at your ascendant is actually a very, very good placement. So and because of that, you're going to have this positive energy. You're going to feel better. You're going to be mentally not so stressed. You're mentally relieved, and a sense of happiness is going to come over you after April, probably because of the fact that you're feeling rewarded after that. Now, one of the things that's going to happen, because you're feeling all that, you finally achieved everything you want, and you probably have some happiness in your career. Rahu and Ketu are going to move into the 5-11 axis, and Rahu's going to be in the fifth house. Now, the fifth house represents children, love life, education, and generally having fun. So after a sense of relief in your career, you're probably going to have a better time with your children and your love life, but you need to watch it a little bit, because Rahu tends to give you obsessive OCD tendencies towards all these factors. So you're going to be like after your kids, you're going to be after the person that you love, and you're going to go after them with a lot more force than you should be. So you're going to be on them for things. So you need to kind of back off and give them space, because Rahu tends to just kind of go after and chase after things. So you need to kind of give them space. On the other hand, Ketu is in the 11th house, and Ketu's causing this separative tendency towards your friends and gains. And the 11th house represents your network, friends, and also gains. So you may be doing great things in your career, but sometimes everything that you get in your career, maybe a position or your new job, sometimes you may leave you a little dissatisfied with the returns or the finance that it comes with. Now, the problem is also going to be that Saturn sitting in your second house, which is the house of income and family. So even though you get a lot of things in your career, sometimes you may not be very satisfied with the finance factor because of the position of Saturn as well as Ketu. So you may be a little dissatisfied with the finances, but April through July, Saturn moves into your third house for a little bit, makes you work a lot more harder, and then it scoots back into your second house, and then you're again going like, well, I've worked hard and I'm not really happy with my money or the finance situation. So you need to work on that, on yourself a little bit, and say, you know what, things come when they come, and you're getting your career, you're getting your recognition, and the rewards will come when they come. Everything doesn't have to come at the same time. Happiness and career is one thing, and then the income is going to just happen when it comes. And if you do happen to get it based on your birth chart, so be it, and good luck. But one of the other things that you need to kind of watch for is the fact that both Jupiter and Saturn are looking at your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is a house of suddenness. It's a house of transformation. So you may feel that when you change your career, or things to do with your career, suddenly something will change as relate to your career. You may suddenly get your new job. You may suddenly change your job. You may suddenly get a position. You may suddenly, so it's sudden things in your career may happen after April, and it's for an 18-month period. So they're not just going to happen in April. It could happen anytime, April following the 18 months after April. So you need to handle your career well, which Jupiter will help you with that. Good guidance. One of the other factors that's going to be when Jupiter and Saturn both look at your 8th house is going to be a little bit of mental stress. Like I said, Saturn's hanging out in your 2nd house and giving you a lack of peace of mind. So it kind of causes a little bit of stress, even though there may be no stress. Saturn just tends to cause stress wherever it sits in the chart, because it works on the details. Saturn is a very detail-minded planet, so it works on the little things in our life. So that's why it causes little stresses. They may not be valid stresses. So one of the things it's going to do is cause stress. The mental stress when it looks at your 8th house is your house of Cancer. So it's going to cause a little bit of stress in your mind, and mentally it's not going to let you relax. It's going to find something or the other for you to worry about. Work on your stress level. Things are not bad. It's actually a very good transit for you. The fact that your ascendant lord is moving into the 4th house, you need to focus more on the happiness that Jupiter is giving you as opposed to the little stress that Saturn gives you. It's a good transit for Sagittarius people. It's a wonderful time for your career. Don't stress out on what you think you could have had, as opposed to just focus on the good things that Jupiter does bring you, and the fact that Rahu and Ketu do bring you some of the good things. So focus on that. It's a good transit for you. Good luck. Your ascendant lord is coming into a very wonderful position for you. Good luck. Capricorn people have been suffering for a while, because I've been saying that Saturn has been in your ascendant house. So they've been burdened with responsibility and a little bit of stress because of all kinds of responsibilities and maybe some health issues. Now, the good thing that happened in November is that Jupiter moved into their 2nd house. So Jupiter being a very good planet, very good results in the 2nd house, you probably started to see some relief from the responsibilities maybe, or just the general feeling of happiness probably started to come in after November when Jupiter made a move. Now, it also Jupiter in the 2nd house also gives very good results for as far as income is concerned, and as far as family relationships are concerned. That's what it represents. Also, as far as food is concerned, so you probably started paying attention to what you were eating and started becoming really cautious and conscious of your health at that time. So this is a good thing. Now, what happens in April? In April, Jupiter moves into your 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house represents your self-effort, your energy, dedication, hard work. And Jupiter now will provide you so much energy to actually do whatever it is that you want to do, and also keep doing the hard work that you're supposed to do. You were probably feeling really, really tired last year and didn't want all that responsibility, and you were feeling very low on energy. When Saturn is in your ascendant house, it kind of depletes energy. But now, after April, Jupiter moves in there and gives you this burst of energy to go after things that you really wanted. One of the awesome things that Jupiter is going to do is it's going to start looking at your 7th house. Now, the 7th house denotes some of the really nice things like your marriage, and it also denotes your business if you own a business. And so if you were suffering in the past because Saturn in the 1st house looks at the 7th house, and it kind of causes a little bit of bickering between marital partners and your spouse and stuff like that, and it also impacts business. So when Jupiter moves into the 3rd house, it starts looking at the 7th house, and all of a sudden the relationship between your spouse and you will start to improve. Definitely there's a lot more happiness in the marriage. Also, if you are a business owner, your business starts to become much more profitable, and you see a lot of positive growth in your business. So, and also you have the energy to put into your business, so it grows. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So if you are looking to do something, that's a good time now. Next year will be a good time where you can see a lot of positive things happening finally for the Capricorn people. One of the things that's also happening is that now Rahu and Ketu are coming in the 4-10 axis. So Rahu will be in your 4th house and Ketu will be in your 10th house. Now what that does is, one of the things I have to caution you about is when Rahu comes in the 4th house, you have to take good care of mom. Sometimes it's a little burden for your mother, because Rahu, that's 4th house, represents your mother. So you need to, take good care of her. So that's one of the things for the Capricorn people. But also Ketu being in the 10th house, and 10th house is your house of career, it's very good because it can cause sudden things to happen, like sudden good things to happen. And Saturn's looking at that house for a little while also after July. So it's looking at that and it's protecting your career. So sudden things can happen. But what's going to happen between April and July, it's going to be where all of a sudden you're going to get impulsive. Ketu doesn't think. Ketu doesn't have a head, but it wants to make sudden changes. So you need to be very careful between April and July when Ketu is in there, but Saturn is not looking at it, controlling Ketu. So between April and July, all of a sudden you may want to do all these things in your career. You may want to quit your job and do all these things. And so I'm telling you to not be so impulsive between April and July. Ketu is very famous for changing people's careers when it goes into the 10th house, quitting all of a sudden, trying to do something completely different, starting a new career. Ketu is the planet of transformation. So it wants to transform everything, that whatever that house it comes in. So it's going to ask or force you to transform your career. Be very cautious about that. It's going to be there for 18 months starting in April. And so the whole 18 months you're going to be thinking of, I could do this, I could do that, or I can change my career and do that. And you can probably, it will force you to do it. Most Capricornians will have changes in their career for the 18 months. But I'm just cautioning you not to do something impulsive starting April through July, and to think through things very carefully. Now do whatever you want to, but after July. So then you have a chance to think about it. One of the things is that Jupiter is going to be looking at your 9th house, and the 9th house is the house of luck, but it's also the house of guru and guidance. So if you want to do these things, it's a very good time to reach into people that you hold, that you have respect for, or somebody that you look to for guidance, and get their guidance to doing these things. You will get good guidance at this time. One of the other things that Jupiter is looking at is your 11th house. The 11th house is your network, is your friends, it's your close people, it's gains. So not only are you going to get good gains from it starting in April, but you're also, if you want to make changes, the secret to that is you ask people for guidance, ask people for help and what they think, good advice, because right now you're going to start getting good advice, because Jupiter is looking at the 9th house saying, you know what, you will find good advisors, you will find good gurus to tell you and give you good advice. One of the other things is that when Jupiter looks at the 9th house, it's awesome for education. If you're a student, you're looking for some education, you're in the field of education, the guru is going to in the 9th house. Jupiter in the 9th house is going to fabulous results. Also, if you deal anything with the foreign, so anything to do with foreign, taking a foreign trip or going to foreign for business related matters, it's a good time for that as well. So overall, I think Capricorns finally can heave a sigh of relief. Aquarius. Now, Aquarius people have been having a little bit of a tough time since the last year and a half, since both Jupiter and Saturn have been sitting in their 12th house. The 12th house is a bit of a challenge house in as far as income, money, and even health is concerned. So they've had two major planets sitting in their 12th house, troubling them as far as income is concerned, money is concerned, and also their health is concerned. So, they've had a bit of a trouble. Now, starting in November, Jupiter moved into their ascendant lord. So they probably felt a little bit more positive, and they probably thought something good was going to happen. So their health was starting to improve a little bit. Not as much as they'd like, but they probably started to feel a little bit positive. Even though if the health didn't improve, they were probably starting to feel a good energy about themselves. And that's how the year started. 2022 started with Jupiter in their ascendant lord, and then they're very hopeful, they're feeling better, and they're very hopeful that things are going to improve. In the first house, Jupiter looks at their fifth house, which is the relationships with children. So even though they may have been disappointed in the past, because it gives, Jupiter in the 12th house was giving them challenges in all relationships, whether it's with their spouses, whether it's with their children, whether it's co-workers, just with everybody. When it moves, in the beginning of the year, Jupiter is in the first house, and they're beginning to see maybe some better improvement in these relationships. Also, now their luck factor gets activated because Jupiter starts looking at their 9th house and their 7th house. So they're probably beginning to feel, I need to have better relationships with everybody. So they start repairing these relationships a lot. And so that's how the year starts for the Aquarius people. In April is when the major shift happens because Jupiter moves into their 2nd house. Now, why is it so major for Aquarius? Is because Jupiter is the lord of their 11th house and their 2nd house. Now, both these houses are, 11th is the house of gains, rewards, recognition, very powerful house, and also the house of relationships with their friends and network. And the 2nd house is also the house that represents family and income. So both of these issues were challenged in the past, and now Jupiter, the lord of those two houses, moves into its own house and into the 2nd house. So all of a sudden the shift will, they will see the shift in all of these factors. So it's one of the best things. It's almost the best thing that could happen to Aquarius in April is Jupiter moving to 2nd house. And so the magic will almost start for Aquarius, where the income will suddenly, not only the income, but the gains, the recognition, the financial challenges that they may have been seeing, the high expenses that they were probably seeing will now change. So they will start feeling very good about their income, their finances, and the relationships with their family, the relationships with friends, and whoever else that they were feeling challenged with. Now, the 2nd house also looks at the 6th house, so their relationship with co-workers and their job is all of a sudden also going to improve. It couldn't get any better. Now, also one more positive thing will happen is Rahu, that was sitting in the 4th house, disturbing their mental peace and their domestic happiness completely, moves backwards to the 3rd house. The 3rd house, represents your self-effort, your energy, dedication, and there's no other planet better than Rahu when it comes to abundance and making it bigger. So now their energy is going to be completely exalted. They're going to be very energetic, more than any other ascendant. So they're going to be very dedicated. Their self-effort is going to go off the charts, and they're going to go after things like you wouldn't believe it. So they're, like I said, it's complete change for the Aquarius ascendants. Probably the most change of all the ascendants is they're going to go after all these things. Renewed energy, burst of energy, self-confidence, self-effort, dedication and go after things they want. Now, what's happened is that Ketu has been in their 10th house, disturbing their career for the last year and a half. And so they've been thinking about, I don't like this career. I want to change my career. I'm so unhappy, So Ketu disturbs your career in the 10th house. And Ketu is transformative. So they've been thinking about changing, overhauling their career completely. And so some of them may have already done that, and some of them may do that now, where they're completely unhappy with their career and want to make changes. Now, the Jupiter movement and Rahu's movement may actually make them do that now. And so they're going to have this renewed energy, and they're going to go after what they want. Now, if they do that, it's going to bring them so much luck, because now with Jupiter's positive placement, you have no idea what it could get an Aquarius ascendant to actually make these changes. Now I talk about Ketu and the dogs start barking, so this is going to be a good omen. So if this opportunity of change presents itself to the Aquarius ascendants, it's a good thing. But you do have to think about things. No, don't just do it because I'm telling you to do it. But in general, this is a good, very, very positive change for the Aquarius ascendants as far as career, recognition, self-confidence, and the ability to go after things, go after goals that they want. So they have to manage their goals really well. So my guidance to the Aquarius ascendants is manage your goals, manage what you want really well, because you will go after them and you will get them. So it's always a good idea idea to make good goals at this time and not just run after 10 things and not get anything. Don't just sit there and go, well, I'll let the things fall into my lap, because they won't, because the third house is activated. The third house tells you that you have to do things. It will not fall into your lap. So don't wait for things to fall into your lap. Make sure you take good advantage of Rahu being in your third house. Make your goals, go after them, and good luck to my Aquarius ascendant Pisces. Pisces, the year starts out with Jupiter being in your 12th house. The Jupiter has been in your 12th house since November, and so it's probably giving you a loss of energy and high expenses and stress and strain. Now, Jupiter is also your ascendant lord, so it's very important. The placement of Jupiter is very important to you. Now, what happens in April? Literally magic happens, because like I said, Jupiter is your ascendant lord and it moves into your ascendant house. Now, there can be nothing better than your own ascendant lord moving into your ascendant house. Now, especially if it's Jupiter. As you know, Jupiter is a very benefic planet. It gives good results. And especially for Pisces, this is one of the most life-altering changes that you can expect when your ascendant lord Jupiter moves into your ascendant house. This is once in a lifetime, maybe once in 12-year cycle that you get your ascendant lord, which is a benefic ascendant lord, move into your ascendant house. What does this mean? I consider it when Jupiter moves into your first house for Pisces people or for Sagittarius people, which Jupiter is the lord of both of those zodiac signs. It's almost like a Ganga Jal or a purity that, it showers you with this pure water or holy water, because it gives you such benefic results. Not only is your body renewed with fresh energy, fresh vibration, positive vibration, but it gives you all around prosperity and success, because that's literally what it's going to do. It's going to look at your 5th house, which is happiness, children, good luck. The luck is seen from your 9th house, which it also looks at. And, creativity, new ideas. It looks at your 7th house, which is your marital relationships and your business. If you're a business owner, it's going to look at your 7th house, your business. So prosperity from your business, good marital relationships, good relationships with your business partners, and the 9th house, which is your house of luck. If you're in education, if you're a student, good blessings from Jupiter as far as that is concerned as well. If you do anything with foreign countries or foreign entities, then very, very good results as a result of Jupiter looking at the 9th house as well. Now, one of the things that's also a factor to consider is that Saturn has been sitting in your 11th house. So the 11th house is a positive house. It gives you good recognition, good gains. And so if you put that together, it's actually a positive transit. The only little bit of challenging, not so challenging, but a little bit of a time that you need to think about is when between April and July, when Saturn moves into your 12th house and Jupiter still in your 1st house, giving good results. But Saturn in the 12th house gives a feeling of, doubt and a little bit of stress. So you may question what you're doing. So Saturn, when it moves into the 12th house, does tend to give you high expenses. And so you need to watch your expenses. You need to watch your investments and how you spend your money very carefully. It's looking at your 6th house. So one of the things that you need to consider very cautiously, especially if you're a business owner, is where to invest your money and how to invest it. So, and also your loans, your ability to take on loans or give out loans. It's Saturn in the 12th house is not a good placement for 6th house related matters, meaning loans, investments, and things like that. So be very careful about that. Also take good care of your health during the April through July. Don't do anything impulsive, and watch your health at that time. One of the better placements even is going to be that fact that Rahu is going to move from your 3rd house to your 2nd house. Rahu in the past in the 3rd house was making you work very, very, very hard. And now it moves to the 2nd house, where the 2nd house is your house of family, income, and wealth. So here we go. Rahu is signifies, it makes everything bigger. So income is going to probably increase because Rahu goes after making things bigger. but it also fools you. So it also shows you things that really are not there. So I don't want Rahu to tell you all this income exists when it really isn't all that much. So you need to stay focused and very clear-headed about how much income there really is, how much wealth you really have. And with Saturn looking at your 6th house, you may be thinking, I have all this income, I'm going to go get a loan, I'm going to do this. That's the caution I just want to put out. Otherwise, Rahu in the 2nd house tends to give up responsibility and say, I don't want any responsibility, I'm free to do whatever I want to. Be cautious about that, and also have a very clear understanding of how much income you have, how much income you're going to generate. What it tends to do is cloud your thinking regarding finance and wealth. So make sure you're thinking through that very carefully before you make investments. The other thing is that Ketu, South Node, is in your 8th house. The 8th house is sudden transformation, sudden events, and so these could be related to your family or your wealth also, or your income. So one of the things that Ketu in the 8th house can do or cause is the fact that somebody may come around and tell you, do this, spend your money here, make it your investments here, and you may try to get fooled into investing money or making career choices or career changes. Think through things very clearly before you make any business decisions or you make any career decisions. That's the only thing you need to caution about. Otherwise, this whole year after April is a very, very good time for Pisces individuals, Pisces ascendants. One of the things, like I said, is good for education, and it's very good for love life. So if you're looking for love in your life, awesome time after April. You're looking to get married, wonderful time after April. So it's giving you a lot of good things. It's really come to give you a lot of good things, change your life for the better, give you good income, give you good career success. If you are looking for a job, you may get it now after April. So it's come to give you very good things, but it doesn't mean you run out and just do whatever you feel like without thinking. Guru and Jupiter always want you to think. Saturn wants you to think before you do things, and Saturn has a vision on your 10th house, so after July. So really do take care of things. Do what you want to, go after what you want to, but not without thinking. Don't just rush into it without thinking. And with that, I come to the end of my video. See you later. Stay very safe, and goodbye for now.